Okay, Dani, here we are. Another episode.
Another episode of 2025.
And I think we got a guest here today. So we did the last episode was just you and I, which I thought was pretty cool. We haven't done that in a while.
We haven't done a solo episode in quite a while. I think it was, I mean, I can't even remember the last time we did a solo episode. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what we got going here is we have Darrell Irwin, all the way from the UK, Bristol. Bristol, and fellow podcaster and entrepreneur, as we'll get into. There's a lot he's involved in. So, welcome, Darrell.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Darrell was made a trip to the U.S. and went up to Breckenridge and did some skiing. There's nice snow up there, right?
Definitely, I hit the slopes is the best way to describe it.
in all form and fashions, I'm sure. Are you a skier, you said?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that as we get into this. I talked to Darrell's wife this morning, so.
Oh, was this a family trip?
No, it wasn't. They were on a call with the brand agency that I run.
Right.
And my wife basically told John, of all people, what had gone on the mountain.
That's incredible. I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, so this group that you came in with, that's a part of like an entrepreneurial group, or?
Yeah, so the bunch of entrepreneurs, various different businesses. That we have a commonality in the fact that we're faith-based, so we all like go to church and that sort of stuff. And so that's kind of what unified us. But it was like, well, let's not do the journey alone. And so we've been meeting online for about 18 months. And then ultimately we were encouraged to say, look, let's go meet at Breckenridge, because someone in the group exited for a lot of money and has got a beautiful house and gives us the run of the house, which is great.
Amazing.
And what part of Breckenridge is the house?
Oh, it's something. Is it Hill Valley? I think.
Okay.
And then his business partner, I stayed on Tiger Road.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, guys watch Yellowstone, but it felt like a Yellowstone house, log cabin, nice big and stuff. So I stayed there, and it was great.
Nice.
Your first time to Colorado, and you get to experience beautiful Breckenridge.
He's been to Colorado, but he goes from the airport right up to, I think you've been to Breckenridge before, right?
Yeah, so it's the second time.
Okay.
So I went at the end of August, where there was no snow, and then we took a Jeep up into the mountains, which was incredible.
So you got 2 different seasons in Breckenridge. That's incredible.
I enjoyed the time with the people. Loved it.
Yeah.
Snow on the mountain. There's an open verdict there.
Yeah. Yeah. So podcasting. Darrell's in podcasting, and he has the Purpose of the People.
The Purpose People podcast.
The Purpose People podcast. So tell us about that. What is your mission there? Yeah,
so what we found is, a lot of people, certainly during COVID, began to question their work and what they're doing, and are they having an impact, and do they want to spend 25, 30 years working for someone else on that sort of stuff. And that isn't a bad thing. Like, I'm a Liverpool Football Club fan, soccer in the UK, and I would say the manager of Liverpool Football Club at the time, he is employed by someone, but he's living purpose. So what we're trying to encourage people is to find the right role or start the right company where you feel purpose-led. And it's people that are already doing it going, yes, someone else is saying what I'm saying. Or it's people that are going, shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I? And then we push them over the edge to go ahead and do it. So all the guests have pivoted at some point. So they were doing one career, and then they got to a point where they go, maybe I should do this, and then they took the leap, and life on the other side has worked out. So that's what I want to try and get out there, is that if you know what purpose is, where your head and your heart are aligned, then go for it.
Wow. Yeah. So that kind of ties into what we tried to do last year with trying to show people the entrepreneurship, what it takes to try to get. We brought some people in that have risen to we had somebody on from the NFL, but whatever you're doing in life, it's hard work, right? So it sounds like you're trying to show people the path from maybe working for somebody and then taking that leap of faith to do something themselves.
Yeah, that's definitely one route.
Right.
Or it may be you've been in a role and you've got a fantastic position with a beautiful salary, amazing package, but something's not connecting,
right.
and you know that you need to make a change. And so we encourage people to make that change if it's needed, because
so that takes a lot of courage, right? For people to
big time
to leave something where they're at that's comfortable, but it's still not fulfilling.
Yeah, being uncomfortable, that aligns really well with kind of like how I got into parking many years ago. Was I was in radio. I actually I was in radio, and I was at that point where I was like, I think that I'm ready to leave, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I knew that I had, my purpose was to help people. I knew that that's what I had a passion for. I have a passion for. And I fell into, as we all do, because you don't, really go to school there, to be on parking, kind of fell into this industry. And I brought my purpose and my passion of helping people along, with me, but completely changed careers to, from one industry to something that was irrelevant and into it, and just made the switch, made the flip. So
and that's for me, that's the hard thing to do. So in 2001 for me, I was running a marketing agency, and they were London based. They had an office in Bristol, and I was given the chance to own 25% of it. Mm-hmm. So sign here, it's yours. And unfortunately, what we found in it, when you work for someone, you can kind of duck the clients that you're probably not that happy working for. So there's a few cigarette companies there and things like that, and you're like, don't really want to work on that, ethically wise. But then when you're going to own it, it feels very different. And I just come to the conclusion that it was the wrong move.
Yeah.
So I walked, which was mad. Everyone thought, I remember people on the phone, you what? You've quit. But that began my journey into purpose, where I just thought, I want to help more purposeful businesses win, rather than, people that, are ending people's lives. I want to find companies that are celebrating people's lives. And that's the journey that we went on.
Yeah. And you said that was what, in 2001?
2001 was my big pivot.
Okay.
And it's having those brave conversations. You're sat in the boardroom and they're all waiting for you to sign, and you're going, no, I'm not going to do it. Right. And
was that the point where you were like, this is not what I want to do, and I want to and you went off on your own right after that. Yeah.
So what we actually ended up doing is I ended up leaving that, going freelance. Mm-hmm. I did actually work a lot in the banking industry. Some people said that was even worse than the cigarette industry. but in that, I got involved in mission trips and stuff because I began to re-explore my faith as well. So we began to do that, and then we were driving a minibus to Romania from Bristol, handing out aid and stuff. And it's while I was on top of a minibus handing out clothes to people that literally had no running water, thinking, this is great, but my skills, talents, and abilities isn't this. And it wasn't that my skills, talents, and abilities were wrong. It was I was using them incorrectly. Yeah. Right. And then I thought, okay, and that was the Genesis idea, where it came to me, the genesis of creation. Right. And I thought, I could do this. And so the church that we were going to at the time, I took a whole load of volunteers and just trained them up in brand and graphic design while I was freelancing. Until such point, they were so confident, we started a company, and then it grew. And then it grew too big to stay in the charity setup, and we pulled it out. And in 2016, there's a lot missing there. But in 2016, we then moved out and started again.
So you found faith. Was there a point or something that happened, or was it just? Yeah,
it's quite deep. If you want to go there, we can.
I'd say whatever
I just would love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to just you share what you want to share, but usually. There's always something that brings somebody either back in, or something traumatic or not traumatic. Maybe it was something wonderful, right?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, I'm going to London. I'm going to do London. I'm going to do it. I went to church when I was about 11. Got to 16. I said, no, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to go do my own thing. And I was about 27 years old, and I'm driving the car one day with this new girl I was dating. And we'd been dating for about 3 months. And she just said, I'm never going to be really happy unless I go and pursue God. I'm like, whoa, where's that come from? Yeah. And I just thought, you know what? It was like a saying, there is more to life than this, and you know the answer, but you're just avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So then I said, okay, well, let's go and explore it. And then we went to church that evening, a couple of evenings later, and we just lent into it. And within 9 months, we were married.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
Claire.
That's
Yeah.
Claire. Wow.
That is
Wow.
Claire. And Claire wasn't following anything either. She'd grown up in a Catholic church and she was done with it. But it was just that conversation at the right time in the right place. It was like, ta-da. And there's loads of other things that happened, but the headlines were, we both felt we could leave an impact. We both were on a journey together. And there's some crazy stuff that happened, but it was
So
just
that's pretty cool. That's that's not really a traumatic thing. That's more of a love thing. You were connected, and somebody, your girlfriend brought something up, and I mean that's cool.
yeah.
Now,
I mean,
now wife, right?
now
Yeah,
wife,
Claire.
Now wife, yeah.
Claire.
And you work with Claire.
I mean,
Did
we
you
work.
guys always work together? Or?
No, Claire's a language teacher, so
Oh, that's right.
so
She
she
was a
can
teacher.
she picks languages up like that, and I'm still struggling with English, and
Me too. I
makes three
have
of us.
words that people don't even understand. No, they're not even in the dictionary.
so what happened is that Claire then started to do a lot of content and copy for us. Like while she was doing that, can you just look at this? Can you do that? And eventually, it just made sense. And the school system sucks, like in the UK, and she got more involved. And then we made a decision to pull our kids out of the school system, and we homeschool our kids now, and they're doing great. And
How old are they?
so 17, 15, and 12, 11, but they're all about to have their birthdays.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's March, April, May.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a switch for us. And so Claire came into the business and she's now running like more of an ops role now, and we've got a team of writers as well. So yeah, it's great. I wouldn't change it. We're around each other all the time. I'm sure one day they're all going to find love and move off and move out. But yeah, it's quite good. So me being away is quite a big thing. So
Yeah.
Right.
Do you travel? Do you currently travel a lot for work? I know that this is, probably some of the furthest that you travel.
yeah, it's probably the furthest to travel. The other side is Hungary. So we've been
Yep.
to Hungary as well.
Have you learned Hungarian yet?
No, Claire's already started.
I know. So I bought these headphones that you can put on, and then when people talk, it'll translate into your ear. It's kind of cool. So I'm looking
So
forward to my next Hungary trip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they'll always talk when they don't want me to hear what's going on. So
In Hungarian,
I'm
yeah.
going to slip one of these earpieces in. Because I told them I would be careful. I'm going to learn this language, and then started dabbling a little bit. That's a wow. I think I'll die before I learn everything.
Before
But
you're fluent.
we started using Duolingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the owl's alive again now, apparently.
Is he alive again? I thought they
Yeah.
RIP'd him and
I
gave
got
him
a
his
message
funeral.
from my youngest daughter this morning that, guess what, Dad? The owl is alive.
They brought him back.
They brought him back.
What is I'm
Good.
sorry, but what is
That's
the owl?
exciting
What
news.
What are we talking about here?
Duolingo, their mascot, I guess if you will, is now again. I was going to say was because they RIP'd him. He was an owl. And like literally on the app on your phone, if you don't practice, like see this little green owl,
yeah.
like if you don't practice, then he like dies.
Oh,
Yeah, but I don't know like the full story behind it, but they fully like killed him off.
Wow.
And I just read this not too long ago. But apparently he's back. Apparently he's back.
The owl's back. I'm gonna have to get the owl. So it just reminds you to practice and helps you learn other languages.
It's like the more you practice, the more life you give
course.
to the owl of
Interesting.
Duolingo.
And it's just language. It's
Just
not any-
languages.
okay,
yeah. So can you remember, I don't know, can you guys remember Tamagotchi?
Yes, I was referred to the Tamagotchi. Yeah,
So it's the same thing of Tamagotchi.
Okay.
You keep feeding it or you kill it.
or dies. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And you like probably almost any language is on Duolingo.
Okay.
And it's free. There's like a free version, and then you can pay for like the
My
advanced.
headphones sound easier.
But that's not teaching you.
I
That's
know.
just that's not teaching you. That's just spying on.
I've
Hungarians.
started Italian. I started Italian.
Yeah,
so.
me too. Yeah.
Have you?
I did. I'm obsessed with Italy. I will retire in Italy one day, and so I used Duolingo for Italian, and then for my Spanish, which could be a whole lot better. So now that I know the owl's back, I need to start it up again. Did you use Duolingo for Italian?
No. So basically, my daughter's been using it for Spanish, and and Claire lived in Barcelona for a while, and so they start talking, a bit like you, John. They start talking, and you're like, what? What's going on here? Yeah. So then I was like, well, I'm going to learn Italian. So my youngest is now learning Italian.
Oh, good. So now you and your youngest.
So me and my youngest now can team up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And how many languages is Claire?
Spanish, French, German. We spent 2 weeks in Sicily, and by the end of it, she was pretty good in Italian as well.
Wow.
So she's got that superpower of just picking up languages really quickly.
My wife speaks Farsi, that's a difficult one. So she'll throw people off when she starts speaking to somebody else Persian that's
in
Farsi.
Yeah.
And I'll have friends go, what are they doing? I'm like, that's Farsi. Yeah.
Well, because her and her best friend are pretty fluent, right? Like they talk to each other
absolutely.
in Farsi. So
Yes.
I'm going to have Michelle teach me Farsi.
That's another difficult one from what I'm told. So I pick up on it, but
you don't use
Michelle teaches me all the
your
bad
little
words.
headphone? Get easy.
Honestly, they don't have Farsi in the thing that I bought.
Yeah.
Farsi's not one of the languages.
Well, good. I'm going to have her teach me, and then we're just going to speak Farsi around
There
here.
you go. So 119 episodes. How long have you had the podcast?
Well, yeah, I want to like coming off of how you started how you started your company, and then at what point were you like, now I'm going to build a podcast? Like, why did you get into the podcasting?
I started listening to them, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the format because I like the conversation. Yeah. You don't have to be scripted. You don't have to look in front of a camera, and it's a lot easier to get guests on as well. Because if you say, "Oh, do you want to come on my interview?" Oh, yeah, all right, it's all right.
Yeah.
But if you want a podcast, people will understand that it's more of a conversation, and there happens to be some cameras. So we started it, and it was for me. We started it about 2.5 years ago now. But even that was too late for me. I wanted to do it earlier than that.
Right.
But you just got to get the kit, you've got to get the team, you've got to plan it and whatever else. But we started it with the intention of amplifying the message of purpose. And I think after COVID, it was like, we have to do this because so many people are making those pivot type decisions now. And so we just started. And I've not even watched back the first few because I'm probably like, but I love it. It's out of all the things I do, I absolutely enjoy it.
I do too. We just had an episode where we talked about our goals. Like at some point when I exit the business, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be just a full-time podcasting.
It's
So
great.
I'm in the coffin.
Oh, they'd be drunk.
We're talking way future.
I'll be drinking beer and podcasting till I'm in the coffin.
That's your dream. That's your dream.
That
Drinking
is.
beer and podcasting.
You hear this voice in the coffin going,
know,
he's still
I
going.
know.
That's right. I'll have a microphone sticking out of my coffin.
Asking for more beer.
And for more guests. Yep. So how do you prepare? How do you go about getting guests and stuff?
So I network extensively, London, a lot in Bristol, online as well. And we've got people traveling from all over now. People come down from Scotland, from London, from, beyond London. And it's just about networking, build a relationship with someone and going, you know what, I love your story, come and tell it.
Right.
And they not often have got that format or not even considered it. They might write it on a blog, let's say, but to get them in front of a camera is often the first time they've ever done something like this.
Right.
And they're really nervous. I mean, we got a client.
We've had some of those.
We got a client, it's a Christmas tree company.
Okay.
So they've got like a farm of like 80,000 Christmas trees. And we said, come on the podcast. And they were like, and his wife we know really well. She runs the Hungarian British Business Alliance, which is how I met everyone in Hungary. And she convinced him. He came. I was like, brilliant. 2 minutes before we were about to start, he was ready to like, no, I'm not going to do it. We sat him down. We got him chatting. He was there with his son. And 45 minutes went like that.
Yeah.
And he loved it. And his stories like that was great because their story's amazing, but he'd never told it in that way before.
Yeah.
So,
well, and most in it, and that's like for us, we love having the conversation, and we think that parking and mobility and transportation is such a unique subject, and chatting with people who are in it or who know about it or who are getting into the industry or who have thought about it or who are, not necessarily are working kind of like adjacent to the industry, and just having those conversations, and people don't realize like it's just like us sitting around and we're just having a conversation, except for there maybe some cameras or some microphones, and it's just about having the conversation. We try to get people in here and get them comfortable and just chatting. And
if we have to, we'll have them drink a pitcher before or a bottle of wine.
get them to talk.
Always open options.
Yes, we have many options here. So that's cool. So people come in. That's like here. We prefer people here, and people will travel across the country,
or even from the UK.
Yeah, just to do an episode. So I know there's other podcasts that kind of, and I don't think we've done one. Not to say that we won't, but I know people put split screen and they're there by the phone. But we love the interaction and the face-to-face.
Correct.
I think it's so much better, right?
I buy into that massively. So like when I see the two Zooms, you already get that, another Teams meeting again.
Yeah.
And what I love about the format of being in person with people, you feel like you connect. And I just, no matter how long you talk on those screens, it's still distance there. But when you come in and you meet someone and they're on video as well, it's just a different experience. And I've got it. I've got people going, well, why don't you do it on Zoom? Because I'm too busy. And I'm like, that's exactly why I don't want you on my podcast. That's right. Thanks very much.
You're going to be looking at your email. You're going to be doing something. I want to look at you.
And the connection and the chemistry in person is, you can create that. You can't create that over Zoom.
Exactly.
And so it is really important to us to have our guest here in studio as well. And we've done one, I think, over Zoom, and
have we?
Yeah, we did. Brian's. We were in studio, but we did that one. Over Zoom.
Did somebody else's podcast over Zoom. We were, but he came here for ours.
So bringing bringing people
we're
on.
We're in a parking garage, by the way. You can hear the background.
If you didn't notice.
Yeah.
When you're bringing guests onto your podcast, what is a message is there that you're trying to get across to your listeners? Is it mostly bringing guests on who have made that pivotal switch in their career, or what are
That's a good question, because I'm not worried about their audience. Mm-hmm. So I don't care if they've got 5 followers or 2,000 followers.
Right.
My point is that everyone's got a story to tell, right. And the unique thing about your business, it could be a bit more techie or a bit, you package something a different way. But ultimately, the thing that makes your business different is the stories of the people that are involved in it. Yeah. And so
true.
So by having all these different people in, it just encourages you as well, because it's like, well, yeah, and they share principles and things that I could have been thumbing around for ages trying to find, and they're giving me nuggets to teach me stuff. So I see it as an education thing as well, that they can share some of their principles, some of their secrets, some of their insights and to the listener, they're like, ooh, I didn't think about that. Or, we have a wealth manager on and he's talking about investment, and he might say, well, everyone thinks it's this way. Have you thought about this way? And
right.
Or how to start, because there's that big barrier as well. So just inviting people in to bring value, that's all I want to do. So as long as they give value, they've got principles, they're a good person, as in they want people to win, That's why I want him on a podcast.
I love that, and not to put you on the spot or anything,
Yeah.
but we're here, we're learning your story, and it's incredible. But what is one of the most memorable stories or guests that you've had on your show? Because I know that we all have one, but like as like
I've got two.
Yes, I want to hear them.
I got two. So, ex-army guy, he's suffering with PTSD. And he's drinking all the time, like crazy drinking. He's looking down the bottom of his glass. He's come out of the army and he's really struggling. And he's basically come to the conclusion that in his life, the only thing he can do in life is kill people. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. That's the conclusion. Wow. Whilst he sat in the pub, British pub, he hears a shrill from the toilets. And it's a girl screaming, but not like almost a normal scream, like unearthly type scream, like, oh my gosh, the hairs on the back of the neck. So he puts his pint down, runs to the toilet, and he opens the door, and there's this girl on the floor, and there's blood just going everywhere from her leg. Goodness. And what had happened is she had got out the toilet, got into the restroom bit at the front, and slipped and banged her leg into a mirror that just cut through her leg. And within 10, 20 seconds, he went, tied it all up, and basically saved her life.
Yeah, because you've got a femoral artery down there, right, in the leg, thigh area. I mean, you could die within
so
minutes.
He went into action, and like that was like
there's a
turning.
There's a tell
point.
me he turned. That's a calling. So is he a paramedic now, or
no? He does a thing called rewilding. And that's working with like ambulance people, service people and stuff like that. So when it gets too much, they go out into the forest, they sit around a campfire, they carve spoons and chat and different principles.
Yeah.
And just, enjoy walks through the nature and just talk about stuff.
To heal.
To heal and process.
The mind.
Yeah.
Of what they've seen in the trauma.
So this is just a massive flip, and he's spoken on Nick is his name. He's spoken on stages with Bear Grylls now and stuff like that. But it was just that there he was drinking 1 minute, thinking about death, and next minute he put his skills and transformed someone's life.
That's a great story.
It was like a calling. He thought that he could only do one thing, and then lo and behold, he jumps into action to do the complete opposite, which is save lives, not kill.
And that's what he's done. And that's what he does now. By helping people that are in the service that have seen a lot of stuff that's caused trauma.
Which is also probably therapeutic for him, because now he's in a group setting talking about people are telling their traumatic stories, and then he's probably helping them cope, but it's also helping him with his traumatic stories. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So number 2.
Well, just quickly, he was on his 5th tour, and then he got PTSD on his 5th tour, and he got discharged. Yeah. So for him, it was the shame of being discharged, and he was a killing machine essentially. And then to see that flip round to giving people hope.
Where did he do his tours? Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
That place destroyed a lot.
Yeah. Number 2, get this. So, guy's born in Hackney in London. Mm-hmm. Him and his mum leave London and move to Los Angeles. They're in Los Angeles for a while, but the job opportunities of things start going wrong, and they end up on the street. Wow. So they've got no money. He's playing basketball because he's on the street and just keeps himself entertained. And his mum's trying to make ends meet. It's just not working out. Then finds various different boyfriends, not working out. And then they're walking down at Skid Row. They're in Skid Row. Mm-hmm. He's got his clothes in a big like bin bag type thing. And he's hungry. And he asks his mum, can I go and get some food? There's a Salvation Army there. And she's like not quite there. And she's just like, well, do what you want type thing. So as he goes up the steps, he turns around and his mum's got on a bus.
Oh.
Never to be seen again.
Wow.
So he's left in the middle of Skid Row, LA, as a 13-year-old boy. And you go, what? 13-year-old boy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So he gets taken into the foster care system into the US, and obviously he's pretty good at basketball, and he begins to build a career in it, plays college, and he gets scouted from the UK for a team called the Bristol Flyers. So we've got professional basketball in the UK, obviously not as big as the NBA, right? And he gets scouted, and they bring him back.
So he winds up back in England playing professional ball.
And he was the captain of the Flyers. And I think he even captained England as a basketball player, played there for about 8 years and reconciled with his mum.
Wow. That is
Pretty epic.
That's quite a story.
I did not.
I mean, there was a lot in between because he was 13, went into foster, and then wound up going to college.
Did he spend his?
That's quite just winding up going from that to foster care, then wind up in a university. There's a lot of in between there.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty good too. But that's amazing.
That's incredible.
And when you meet Dan, his name's Dan Adozi, when you meet him, he's 6'8". It's huge. And I live in the middle of the country. So, he knocked on the wrong house where we live, and they thought he was going to rob the place. Yeah. Honestly, he was so big and imposing. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, who are you? Yeah. And he actually joked. He said, oh, I bought this property and you got to move out. And he said it as a joke. And the lady went nuts.
What, flipped out? Yeah.
Flipped out. So he come to our house. Next minute, we got the crazy neighbor going, and we'd only been in the area for 6 months.
So you guys are those neighbors.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, Dan now teaches 13 to 16-year-olds basketball. That's his business.
That's amazing.
In England.
In England, yeah. Okay.
So when you do your podcast, is it from your house? Because I've looked at a few shows.
Yeah.
And it seems you've got different settings.
It's from the house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a couple different spots you like to record at?
Yeah.
Within your house?
Yeah, we just move it because we live in a big barn. It's quiet. You might hear the odd sheep in the background, but it's pretty.
You got sheep?
No.
Oh, okay.
Farmer has.
Yeah. All right.
And the great thing is it's quiet and it's great and it's convenient and we just move it around. We set it up for the day. We record 4 or 5 in one day.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we do it once every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then we just release weekly every Monday.
It's hard to. We try to do twice a month.
Okay.
And that's hard. Weekly. So you're doing multiple. You're scheduling multiple at a time.
Yeah.
I know we get really busy, so it's.
We could lock ourselves in here for one day and just.
Yeah, it's actually a good idea too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been great because what you end up with is a bank.
Yeah.
And then you might go, oh, you know what, we won't bother this week. We just chill.
Yeah.
But I always get to the Friday going, why am I so tired?
Yeah.
Well, that leads me into my next because I did a little research and
you did research?
Yeah, a little bit.
Look at that.
So you're a serial entrepreneur for sure. At least when I look at your LinkedIn, but. So Creation is the company, full disclosure, that we hired. That's how you and I connected.
Yeah.
To do our amazing reintroduction of, I would call it, or rebirth of PRS. But now it's the way it's gone. It's not really a rebirth because PRS will kind of stay there, and the new entity will be the technology side. So, but you've got Intro Biz, which is events.
Yeah, it's business networking in the traditional sense. So, we put an event on, we get business people come together, chat, talk, connect.
So what does that look like? You just schedule an event at a hotel or a restaurant, a networking event? Pretty
much, yeah. And then it would be, we're trying to create more experiential led as well. And the idea there is that, people come. So we did one with a wave machine in the middle of the country.
Interesting. So, what is a wave machine?
So imagine going surfing in the country.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
I've
seen them. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what is it, like a pool that they set up, like a portable pool?
It's a huge concrete circle, and they got waves coming in on one side and the other, and you can surf.
Interesting.
So you can surf all year round.
So you surfed and And
No, we didn't surf. We had the meeting there.
okay.
my extreme
Liability.
sports
Yeah.
with my extreme sports record, I avoided the surfing as
Yeah.
well wisely.
The liability behind that, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we met there in their facility and stuff like that. So people got to be aware. Oh, I didn't even know this was here.
Yeah.
They got to meet the team. It's called The Wave. You can have a look it up online. It's really, really cool.
That's
what they've done
interesting.
there.
It kind of reminds me in Lone Tree over here, they have the skydiving place, but you're not
yeah.
really skydiving. It's like an indoor, and they blow you up, and it's like you're skydiving.
Yeah.
But it's like a facility. I've never done it, but I've seen people do it in pictures, and because I'm never gonna skydive for real.
Why?
I'm afraid of heights.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can ride planes. I can do. It's bizarre. Mountain passes. I have to be driving.
You can't.
Buildings. I can't walk to the edge. Like if it's an observation deck or
Yeah, yeah.
something. Very weird.
I
But I
started
can
to
sit
get.
at a window on a plane and look out, and they have no problem.
Yeah.
It's almost too high, isn't it, to even compute? But then as I got a bit older, I've started to be a bit like that. Like, well, no, I'm not going to get too near the edge.
Yeah, too near the edge.
So
Yeah, I can't be near the edge. And then we've got Humanize, is it?
it's called Humans.
Humans.
So Humans is designed to be help people be happier, healthier, smarter, and kinder.
Oh, that's great.
And the focus there is that
I could use that.
most leaders, most entrepreneurs lose those four things in the business of the day to day. So we run what we call as Humans Talks on a Monday evening, once a month, and we get loads of entrepreneurs in the room. I think we had like 60 the last Monday we did it, and it's people just sharing their story for 10 minutes. A bit like TED, but not polished. Just get up there and talk.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's the first time anybody's ever spoken in front of people, or they're quite seasoned and they've got a story
So
to
what
tell.
kind of things do they talk about? Like maybe things they're challenged with, or they're not being kind and they want to be kinder. Like
No, it's more about just living life to the full, and ultimately we don't know what they're going to talk about.
Interesting.
So we purposely don't know. So we had one guy get up there and he talked about how he met Neil Armstrong, and he literally drove to the American base in the UK because he found out Neil Armstrong was there, and through a series of conversations, they let him in.
Oh, wow.
And the maddest
he
thing,
talked his way
he
in.
talked his way in.
Interesting.
And then the amazing thing this is how crazy it is. He's now sat at the back of the auditorium, and Neil Armstrong has to walk down because the exit's there, so he gets to shake his hand.
Yeah.
So then he writes him a letter to thank him, and puts it in a red envelope. He sends it
In a red envelope.
in a red envelope, and
That's key.
they open the red envelope, and he said in his letter, he said, "If you're ever in Bristol, give me a shout." What he didn't know, he was a massive fan of Isambard Kingdom Brunel, who was originally from Bristol, done the Clifton Suspension Bridge. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's just one of the world's first suspension bridge. So he took him up on the offer, and they met up, and he spent a day with Neil Armstrong in Bristol.
Wow.
That is pretty. That's pretty
He should be
incredible.
on your podcast if he already hasn't.
He's in the queue. We definitely want him on.
That's interesting. And he chose a red envelope, which is key, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That is. He knew what he was doing. So with this, like, can anybody sign up? How do you get attendees for?
Do they have to be
Monday?
there in
Yeah.
person, or do you have like a team set up? Or
No, so the Humans Talks are in a private club that we hire. We pay a nominal amount per quarter, and everyone comes along to that. And it's free, completely free. We have programs where we can go into businesses and we take them through the program. So we've got like this, we've got like a diary that in the front it's all about habits, drinking your water, doing your steps, that sort of stuff. And in the back, you scratch it off and you've got challenges. So the challenges are go and drink water by the water. That means you're going to have to go for a walk and go out in the countryside, take a picture of it and put it in the back.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, we can then get whole teams and then we bring them together to discuss it, or pay for someone shopping in front of you, take a picture and see what you think.
great,
So
yeah.
it's just like passing things on. So we got the free thing, which is the talks, and then we've got the programs that we can run for businesses. And then we obviously do coaching. A business partner does coaching. He's an ILM level 7. And we run a thing now together with a huge car company. You might have heard of them, Lexus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we've used, it's the largest showroom in Europe. They've got loads of training offices, and we go in there twice a day, 2 days a month, and we've got 12, 14 entrepreneurs that we just educate on becoming better leaders. So it's a leadership program, and they pay to be that. And so we're just equipping leaders, working on themselves, and then how they interact with other people. Because a lot of these leadership, like, what's your goals? What's this? Whatever. We're gonna. What about you? Let's focus on you.
All these things that you're doing seem to help. They're designed, or they're purposeful. Probably is helping people, right? And so that probably parlays back into creation, which is probably your baby, right?
Yeah.
Is that the number one?
Yeah.
And I mean, and having gone through your process, we met with them in Hungary, and it was like 2 or 3 days, I think, of just going through these exercises. So it wasn't just about, hey, let me interview these guys, see what their idea is for this brand, right? It was like a series of a couple days, which was kind of cool. It was wasn't anything I was expecting, and so having gone through that, it was pretty eye opening. It wasn't what I was going to expect for hiring a marketing company. And now hearing this other stuff, it's interesting because it seems like it all plays together.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
I mean,
because it wasn't just about coming up with a name. Like, we went through mission, we went through, I think we even individuals told what their idea. I mean, it was just this whole exercise.
The vision to create
we developed
the mission,
culture, mission, like all of that. Before even discussing what a name or thoughts of that were.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Well, the key thing for us is that, we live a life and we want people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the way you help people enjoy it is find out what their purpose is, what their life message is, and then help them build a life around it. And that's what gives me joy, just seeing people build their life around, like you said, it's your baby. Yeah, you can have one too, and you can have one too. But
right.
And there are some people, because I've been doing it long enough, I can pass on what I've learned to other people. So rather than them start at ground zero, they can start at 5.
Right.
And you pass it on and you build. And I think, certainly a lot of things is like, well, let's just smash it down and start again. And I'm saying, no, we got to start. If we want to see success, we got to start thinking generationally. Other cultures, they got like 100-year visions.
Right.
When we got a 2-year vision and we're done. It's like, can you build a legacy business? In the building trade, it's quite common that businesses have been trading for like 125 years.
Yeah.
And they didn't really get started until they were 50 years old. So you look at that and you go, that's interesting. And so for me, like, a purposeful business can be a family business. Some people go, oh, family business is the mum and pop shop. But actually, inherently, that's what helps grow generational business. And if its heart is for good, then let it run for 200, 300, 400 years,
Right.
That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, my business was kind of mom and pop-ish, right? And now we've evolved. But at the end of the day, we're still kind of have that mentality, even though we're much bigger than we were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have a completely different mentality. But it's still who knows, this business will go on for another generation, probably. It won't look the same, I'm sure, but
that's what it is. So I always say this, and even if you do choose to exit, the original purpose behind why you started it is carried on.
Right.
And that's ultimately the reason why you started something purposeful, is that it carries on and impacts. And it's a bit like a sports team. When you think of sports, the coaches change all the time, but no one person is bigger than the team.
Right.
And I see that the same in business, that you might have a 6-year run, a 10-year run, a 20-year run, but eventually someone else will come who could take it to where you possibly couldn't take it.
Right.
That's right. And it even might not look the same.
No.
25 years from now.
Yeah.
It'll be totally different, but it was still the same core business, but
Well, the way that your business looks today is not how it looked when you first started, right? And
Not at all.
And to the way that it looks today is probably it's not gonna look like this 10 years, 15 years from now. And
Right.
so it's always about evolving and bringing in the right partners to help you evolve the way that you want to essentially carry out your legacy.
But what you've got though, having done the exercise, you've got a mission, vision, and a common set of values that's helped get you there.
Right.
So when you hand it over, it's like, this is the playbook. We've got the playbook for you. Now, how you execute will probably have to change because technology changes, things like that.
Right.
But this is, how many businesses have that? They don't have it. They get in and they make it all up because
That's right.
no one's told them.
So I have an interesting question because it's at top of mind because you guys have worked together before, but
Yeah.
your whole mission is, I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but is to really like help people help themselves in a really large capacity. And so when you bring on a client, because you it sounds like you put them through this kind of like this, what's the word that I'm trying to use? Like
There's a process.
Like the process. Yeah. You're putting
like
them
a
through
workshop.
the process.
A workshop.
Yes, a workshop.
That's what it is.
And at the end, like, when do you determine that this is a right fit for you, right? Because before you started, you were essentially somewhere where you were being told it didn't matter. Like, this is going to be your client, whether it's a cigarette client or someone that wasn't actually purposely helping people. But is there a process for you after you put your potential client through a process to say, hey, we are a good fit, or I'm probably not your person to do so?
That's actually a good question.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever gone through the workshop and said, I don't want to work with
like
these people?
your mission, your
Not the purpose playbook, and that's because of that. We've put that in place to ensure that we're aligned. You'll have conversations, and I think when we very first started, you just want to win business, right? So you just, anyone that says yes, you're amazed that they said yes, so you take them on, right? But then as you get older, you start to realize that there are certain red flags along the journey that you can just pick up in a 15-minute conversation.
Right.
Like, for instance, I want to make as much money as possible. Then already that we all want to make money because it's a tool and it allows us to do certain things. But when my experience of those types of people is the people are last, their bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, for instance, we remember one particular company that we worked with them for a while, and then we helped transition them in because new technology come out that made more sense for them to go on that. And it was a good one for us because we found out in the middle of the process that they just fired their entire sales team a week before Christmas with no notice.
Wow.
And we thought there's no alignment there.
Yeah.
And what they did is they effectively, they didn't exit. The team exited and they put a new team in.
Wow.
And then the new team was all about bottom line because they want to please the stakeholders, but they were willing to do anything to do it.
To do that. Yeah.
And that was it. So having a couple of conversations prior to the playbook is normally you get a good feel. And we met Tamas in Hungary, and he's a great guy. You just know that he's a purposeful guy, nice guy. And we just hit it off. And it's like, and then he opens a door, and then you meet a whole load of other people that are like-minded, and you just think,
Right.
It makes absolute sense. And spending that time in Hungary was great.
Then the Americans came over, and you were like, "Oh God, what are we doing?
We might not be aligned.
We might not be aligned." No.
But we enjoyed it, and that's the point. It's like you're in the room together, and yes, we've got to get through a lot of stuff, but you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Everyone can come out of it going, "Yeah, that's great. We know where we're headed. We know what we're doing." And obviously, this is unfolding. We're now actually seeing what it looks like, and it's great. And I think, me being involved in business for a while, I think, particularly my story as well, you just see those red flags so much quicker now.
Yeah.
And
especially when you have your a purpose and a vision and like a mission and values attached to what to your mission, right? Like, and to your purpose of doing what you want to do.
I want the good people to win.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I want the good people to win, because when the good people win, we've got a better society. That's what I want to do.
Couldn't agree more.
I've
I love
always
that.
said if you're so focused, because I've come up in big companies, smaller companies, but if your whole purpose and you're so focused on just the bottom line, I feel like, because I've been involved with organizations that are cut, and everybody's got to run a business, and I get it. But if that's your primary, if you're just so focused on it, some people don't get it. Like the bottom line gets better.
Yes.
If you're not so focused on the bottom line, right? And that's my opinion, because there's some people that I've worked for that are so bottom line driven, and you see the culture suffer. You see people more stressed out. And those people don't understand that if you weren't so focused, I get it too. I know there's people going to tell me, you're always over budget. But no, I mean, you can be bottom line focused, but not be bottom line focused, if you know what I mean. And people want to work. The more people enjoy going to work and doing what they're doing, the more your bottom line's going to benefit, right?
Every time.
Exactly.
And if you study it out, that when the team has a vision or a mission to build towards, and that's the most important thing, you'll see retention go up.
Yep.
Right.
So even that alone is going to save you money.
Right.
And
training, retraining, when you have turnover, it's a killer.
It is. And so what we've seen, having worked with lots of different organizations, is that when you're very clear on your mission, your vision, values, and then people, the culture begins to morph, and it's like, well, we're on a journey to someone. There's momentum. We're not just in it for the money, because at the end of the day, they might see a little percentage in their wage rise, but it's not just the most important thing. And when you understand, I think it's the fourth reason why people leave businesses is pay. It's more.
Fourth.
It's the fourth, yeah. The first
down the list.
It's down the list. It's am I making an impact? I think it's number 2. Number 1 is that they don't get on. Yeah, do they get on with their leader, their boss?
Right.
So do they get on with their leader or boss? Do they feel like they're making an impact? And the third thing is, are they progressing? And then the fourth one is pay.
So I've always said, correct me, tell me your thoughts, but I've always said, because it's not a realistic world to think you won't at some point in your career work for a bad boss. So I call them gate arms, just because we're in parking. I've come across a lot of gate arms, and so I've always believed if you retreat because of that gate arm, there's something beyond that gate arm that might not, that gate arm may be holding you back for a temporary reason, for a period. But that gate arm, you have to figure out how to either get around that gate arm or remove the gate arm. And so I've often said, look, I've gotten through many gate arms, but I didn't retreat. Now, I know there's certain points where you might not ever get through the gate arm because that gate arm might not be removable. It might be for whatever reason. I mean, what is your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is it goes back to impact. If you feel you can't make an impact, and now you feel that your impact is limited and you've tried every which way, and you feel like it's just you're not going to make the impact that you want, then maybe it's time to explore. And I'd agree with you. It's not necessarily always a bad boss. It's just maybe the way that you're interpreting it, or maybe that they're not giving you what you want. And that's that self-awareness to say, let me look at me first before I have a go at the boss. Because you might be having a bad day. You might be struggling on something else, or something else you don't know. And I think genuine people, I think, stick it out. A lot more to find out why.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had bad bosses where there's no working it out. They're just bad people.
Yeah.
And so, but I've gotten to a point with one of them where I almost did leave, right? But I was like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. And then eventually that person that is that bad boss, it's not just a bad boss to you. They're probably a bad co-leader, They're probably other people eventually see what that person's doing, and ultimately that person goes away, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's how long you want to stick it out, or how you feel you're making an impact, right? That's important, I guess. And So it's not always retreat and go and just find something else.
No.
But there are certain situations, maybe it's a smaller company where it's a person that owns it and that's not going to change for a long time. So I can see having a thought of going somewhere else. But I call those people are temporary gate arms that I'll figure out how to get around.
No, it's
unless you see a whole core of the apples rotten. So if you see beyond that gate arm, the next gate arm is rotten and the whole thing's rotten, then obviously throw the apple away, right?
But it's seasons, right? You got in business just as much in life. There's different seasons, and they might just be going through a winter time, and that person's under a significant amount of pressure that they weren't normally. And it's like, look back. You might be a bad boss now in your eyes, but have they always been that way?
Right.
And I think if you go back and go, well, they actually haven't, maybe it is something deeper. And then you find out it was nothing to do with you in the first place. They were just having marital problems or they couldn't sell their house. The house fell through. But we don't often ask. I mean, you can't go, hey, you've got marital problems, but we just don't take you just don't take the time to say, hey, are you okay?
Right.
And just asking that question could transform everything, because actually that person might think that you don't even care about them. Right. They're beating their brains out every day trying to run this company, and their staff don't even care. And so they're thinking, well, what's the point? But if you go to your boss and go, hey, you okay? No, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it might just change the whole thing.
So creation isn't just a brand. You don't just develop brands. You do like social media and things like that, right?
Yeah.
For companies, like marketing programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are the kind of the 3 bullet points that people, if they've got a marketing program, what are some of the important things that they should be thinking about?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it goes back to what we started off saying, is that most businesses' uniqueness is their story. It's not about just getting the right AdWords. It's not just about getting it looking amazing. They're absolutely great, but it's being able to tell a story that engages. And where people miss it is they tell everybody about themselves, as in, we're number one, we're the greatest, we're amazing, rather than what can you do for the client. So what you're doing is you're sell, when actually you need to go, here's how we serve. That's the shift.
Okay.
So when you do that, you then create the empathy piece. And then by creating the empathy piece, now you have the gateway to add value.
Right.
Because you understand me. You know my problem.
Right.
And you guys look like you've done it for these 17 people, and here's all the examples.
Right.
And it's like we said in the workshop, your business isn't the hero. The person that you're serving is the hero. You are Mr. Miyagi, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
Because you're the master. You've done this for so many people, and we want to be able to do that.
So you hear that, folks? It's not sell. It's
serve.
Serve. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. What else?
So that's one. Number 2 is when you're telling a story, is to amplify the people that you're already doing the best work for.
So kind of like
case studies. Yeah, absolutely. Show them and educate them in terms of, this is where they were, and you took them on a journey, and they ended up here.
Right.
And then they go, oh, that company's a bit like me. I can imagine myself there. Okay, now I want to join. That's why we talk about that thing called the Hollywood narrative. So when you understand that flow, it's there for a reason, because we all understand Marvel and stories in the way that they've been told. And it allows you then in that narrative to be that Mr. Miyagi character,
right,
to show them how to do it. But it's, don't tell me how good you are. Show me the evidence.
Show the evidence. Okay, so serve. Serve, case study, show the evidence.
And then lastly is think of ways in how to help them get on the journey, which might be opening your network, connecting them, because that creates longevity.
Yeah.
So you go, well, we're looking for someone in HR, and an HR company, work with these guys, they're great. And then they work with them and have a great experience. And what you're doing is you're increasing your circle of influence. So the last one is influence. But it's like, we know they're good because we wouldn't be using them otherwise, but we want to help them, as in that company, and we want to help you, So then effectively you're building this community of businesses all on the same page, helping one another win. So the last one would be collaborate
and influence,
which we need a whole lot of in our industry.
Yeah, we talked about that last
better collaboration
episode. Our industry's, I mean, this is our opinion or my opinion. Dani has her own, but I've talked to enough people. We're kind of siloed, and they're predominantly people have not, we're not a collaborative industry.
Don't go outside the lines.
And and it's not, especially as technology is evolving. We talked about it, regulation, things start happening in our industry, and you need collaboration for that, right? And so right now we have individual companies battling certain things on their own when we all should be collaborating together because we're stronger together, right? And it's not just about regulation. That may be the focus now, but just making things better for whoever we're serving, right? We're all serving probably the same developers, clients, everything else. So if we collaborate, then ultimately the industry has a better product overall or service, whatever we're all doing, and it makes it more impactful and better for our industry.
If you bring all those meetings of minds together and you're shaping an industry, the people that win is the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The people that park, they're getting a better experience.
Right. I think the focus of this is, again, just my opinion, so I'm probably pissing people off, but I think we do have these trade organizations, these 2 trade shows organizations, and really I feel like what it's about is we just go there because we want to sell, right? And we have our booths and everybody's talking, but the mission for people to go is to sell. And maybe there's collaboration and I'm just not a part of it. I don't know, but
take this.
Yeah.
The roadshow.
Which we are to one. Yeah.
It's, I think the trade show should be set up differently. I think there should be more collaboration focused rather than sell. Now, I think some of the organizations are about making money. In my opinion, so that's why there is the sell, because I have a booth, I'm spending a lot of money, so I want to go sell.
Well,
and I think it's just based on your 3 bullet points. And I think I'm going to approach the trade show differently, right?
I kind of just because like I respect what you're saying, but I want to counter that just because I'm on the other side of it, right? Where I think that the trade shows could do a better job of trying to get everybody to collaborate. But in order to do that, you need participation. And if you don't have participation, then you can't achieve that, right? Where our industry is, these trade shows, I love them for many different reasons. But like if you don't have the participation, then you can't get anybody to collaborate. And it's because we're such a competitive market because we're a very small industry. And so you got a lot of competitors at these shows who don't want to participate in collaboration because although I'm on the client end and I can go and I can participate with all of our vendors individually, for some reason, it's still a big secret of what's going on. Although it's not a secret,
So that's a great point. I would say, instead of going to a trade show then and focusing on, I know there's educational stuff and people go and you can learn about, AI and parking and all this stuff. Rather than spend most of the time doing that, then split it up and figure out the challenges of the industry overall and have some sessions on that where you promote collaboration at that point. We want you to come in and, you do a questionnaire before the trade show and say, what are your challenges as an organization? What are you seeing? What is this? And then have a forum where people can go, leaders can go and whoever, and talk about those challenges. right? I think
that's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
serving.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
serving.
That's
Yeah.
and then I think people would.
I think we need more time with you. Look at us. We're already
I
getting
know
back
we're
over
already
here.
solving the.
I'll have to come back.
Yeah.
I'll be
We're
better at skiing by then.
We're actually going to have to come to you. That's what's going to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I know. I mean, we'll go and be on your show.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
All right.
Yay.
Are we going to Bristol, Danny?
Let's go to Bristol. I've
Not
never
Tennessee.
been. No, well, please. I would never go to Bristol, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, you would. I'll take you to a NASCAR race there.
I'm kidding. It's I think my dad's favorite race. Anyways,
Thunder Valley.
big. I'm sure you know what NASCAR is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talk a lot about it on the show because he's pro. Like I'm anti, but I come from a really big family. I come from a family who's really big in.
You
pro
went
as
to a
well.
NASCAR race.
I did. I took my dad.
The Phoenix one.
I did the
Yeah.
championship.
And you guys walked. You got like 2000 steps.
I think I
what
almost
you
gave
do.
my parents heat stroke, which I'm very happy I didn't. But yes, it was in October and 100 degrees.
So
but
as we wrap up, so Darrell was up in Breckenridge. I'm talking to his wife this morning. Darrell went skiing, quote unquote skiing, and she's like, "Yeah, he got up there and that was it, and got his ticket refunded," which I think is amazing.
It was
That
great.
Breckenridge did that for you, so it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a disaster.
why was it a disaster?
From going on the first ski lift, so that it comes round, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was a slight slope, so I just kept going. And then
You're on the slopes.
no, before
So he's not even on the lift yet. Did you fall off
got
and
it.
it had to
I'm not
shut
even-
down?
I'm not even on the lift, and I fall over.
Oh, so you're one of those. Yeah.
So then they get me up, I then get put on there. I go all the way up to the top, come off. Great, I'm slow just a little bit, and then I fall off again.
Yeah, they stop it. So you're the stop guy. All right.
No.
So that was bad. And then obviously I hadn't skied for so long, so I'm starting to do the snow plow. So I go about 15, 20 yards, going down, fall over. And now you're on a slope.
Yeah.
And the thing, what it was with me, when you're on dry ski slopes, it's flat. Okay.
Right.
So it's like AstroTurf, and it's like hashed, and then it's watered, so you can go down there. So every hill, it's just all the same level.
Right.
What I didn't get was like when you're on snow, it's not all the same level.
No.
And so I didn't know how to adjust myself. So after doing that for about 6 times, I'm like, right, off come the skis. I'm going to walk down the mountain because that's the only way
I'm done.
I'm getting done. It's the only way I'm getting home.
Yeah.
So I've already started. I've done about 10 yards.
Oh, so you had enough. That
Guy comes out of nowhere and he goes, "Hey, you all right, buddy?" I said, "No, not really. It's not going well." And he says, "You don't have to hike down the mountain. You just have to go back up to the top and say download." So I go back up to the top, download, and I get back on the ski lift.
the lift going down.
The lift going down. And it was like the lift of shame.
Yeah. I was
Everyone's looking at you.
The lift of shame.
Like,
They're
you
he's-
almost-
in your defense, though, somebody probably said, "Oh, he's a worker and he's going home for the day."
I was going to say, and you
doesn't wanna
almost want to
ski.
just continue to walk down versus get back
And it
on
was
the
funny
lift
because
down.
they said, "Are you injured?" I went, "No, I'm just rubbish."
The lift of shame. So I have a story.
Oh, gosh.
I was teaching my wife, who ironically, anybody who grows up in Colorado, most people that I've met don't even ski.
Yeah.
So my wife doesn't ski, even though she grew up here.
Right.
And I grew up in the East and came here because of skiing. So I've been skiing since I was like 3. And so I taught my daughter. I'm not a very good teacher, by the way. So I like drive-bys. So, I slow down to 20 miles an hour, throw the instructions, and people just get it,
Yeah.
right? To stop and get out of the car and have to show somebody and walk them through, that's not really me. So I taught my daughter that way. She picked up pretty quick. Well, trying to teach my wife was a little different. So we did the bunny slope, and I wasn't patient enough probably. So I'm like, okay, we did a couple greens. Everything's good. So I'm like, we're going to Blues.
Yeah.
So we went to the Blues and got up to the top, and I ski down just a little bit, and she's still where the lodge is. And I stop, and she's just staring at me, and I'm looking up going, what's going on? And I get this 2 middle fingers, and poles go down. She gets out of her skis, and I hear this
Yeah.
you. And that was it. She goes, I'm never skiing with you again. So that was
Just like, thanks,
my
John.
last experience with Michelle skiing.
Skiing. Well,
Yep.
you just got to
So
do
I think
the après ski.
she did the ride of shame down too. She wasn't going down anymore.
And you know what's so bad at the Ride of Shame when they got to the end, just to re-emphasize how shameful it was. It's you again.
And they probably had to stop the lift again for you to get off down there. That's pretty funny.
So
It's you again.
It's you again.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, Darrell, it's been great.
I loved it.
Thank you for coming. I thought it was amazing. I love those stories you have.
Pleasure meeting you. And again, like, just to reiterate, thank you for sharing so much with us today. And trekking, I know you had to go all the way out to the airport and then come back this way from Breckenridge to the airport out this way. So we really appreciate you being here, and safe travels home. And we'll
come on my podcast.
We're
coming
to
to Bristol.
All right. You going to you in?
I'm in.
All right. Let's do it. All right. Thanks, Darrell.